gonna take off this crown. I'm never gonna take off this crown. I'm never gonna take off this crown.
Oh, come on!
Cause I'm the fucking king.
Oh! Okay guys, I'm really excited to bring you this video. It starts off with Jay telling us how to do the sumo deadlift. Nice informed tutorial, it's really good. And then the second half of the video, we get into a bit of background on Jay, how he became an absolute man beast. But let's just get straight into it. So no introduction, Jay's going to jump straight in, start giving some of those cues and those keys to be great sumo deadlifters. Let's do this.
Alright, first thing, initial setup is all about feet placement for me, just initially. So just on this part of it, I'm just trying to line the toes up. I think you can see that I lift with quite a wide stance. And it's important to understand that the wider the stance, the more you need to turn your toes out. There's other people that go like on a semi deadlift conventional, like Ed Cohen, in which case the toes can come in slightly. But on a wide stance, just try and turn them toes out. At this point where I've just freeze framed it now, I'm just trying to look down and line up the bar placement on the toe. So as I look down, the bar wants to be just sort of instep side of toe line, so like what I call like your ball of your toe. So it's not in direct contact with the shin, but it's certainly not towards tip of your toes. It's sort of almost mid-foot.
Right, okay. Is that different from the conventional? Because I've heard the conventional where people talk about putting over like more closer towards your shin.
Yeah. I think it's going to be dependent on limb length initially, you know, and to what leverage systems you can do. Some people can squat really and sink their arse really far down. Other people, their arse is quite high, you know. But importantly, once you've got that bar placement, we wanting the shins to be vertical. You know, the quickest point for deadlift is to go to floor to lockout in A to B, and a straight bar path. Okay. So your feet position just really ensures that your shins want to be as vertical as possible to have a direct bar path from straight up and down.
Cool. All right then. So basically get your feet set up correctly. That'll get your bar path right, and you want that nice efficient straight line. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So
then here I see you sort of doing like it's like I call it like a pre-check. You're sort of like you know, lining up your hips. So what's happening here?
Yeah, again, so just thinking about feet really, and just sort of like screwing my feet into the floor. Really trying to visualize and think about turning knees outwards. So in essence, I'm almost trying to spread that floor at this point. I'm just thinking, you know, visualizing to sit back, keep them shins as vertical as possible, and just making sure that positioning wise, I'm pretty much good to go. So it's just a little visualization drill and I do this on every setup, whether it's from warm up to max. It's just a case of getting that visualization and making sure that I'm happy in terms of positioning.
Cool. So once you've gone through this, you've sort of visualized, you feel comfortable in your position.
Yeah.
Then what happens here?
That's it. Now we're grabbing onto the bar. Obviously over on the grip. I never alternate that grip. It's always the same. Left hand over top, right hand underneath. I don't switch that. I don't change it. It's always been the same. You can see on this as you freeze there, just one hand at a time, really, and that's just to keep tension. I just want to try and keep that tension on, and it's just my type of setup, really. You can see pretty much there, just in terms of where I'm gripping on bar. So for the most part, my hand is on the knurling, and maybe just half or just a finger just onto the smooth.
Right. And for the newer people, you know, who may be watching this video, over under, what's the advantage of having an over under grip?
Right. Yeah, so over under, it does alter the mechanics of the pull to a less efficient pull than if you went double over, because you tend to find it pushes the bar slightly away from you, whereas a double overhand will pull it nice and close into you. Right. But it's grip. It's a much more efficient grip and a stronger grip to go over under, unless you can master the hook grip.
That's what I was going to ask. Now, a lot of the guys that lift big, their hook grip. Can you give the guys a bit of a description of what the hook grip is? And
yeah, absolutely. So if just use this. So if you've got a bar, normal grip is to go around the bar and your thumb on the outside of your finger. Whereas hook grip is to go with your thumb first and gripping around your thumb. So it does take some acclimatization, some conditioning of your thumb because the amount of pressure on the joint.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It can be quite painful. I can honestly say that I've attempted it once. And that was a competition that I ripped calluses off my hands, so I couldn't do a normal traditional grip. My only option was to go hook grip. And it's I weren't conditioned to it, but it's certainly something that I would consider trying to have a look at. It's not something I rule out. It's just I've never really had a problem with grip strength. And
yeah, I was going to say with you, if it's at the level that you are now lifting at, if it's not broke, you probably don't need to fix it, right? Unless you've got callus issues on the day, like you say. And that's
and again, it's not that I'm averse to trying it because it might give me some kilos if I got used to it, tried it, and if it gave me kilos, then that's how I do it. It's just that at this point, it's not something I'm concentrating on doing.
Right. So the double overhand, people have always told me that because you're pulling into yourself, you can get a lot more lat engagement because you're sort of like pulling the bar in, and then thinking about what you were saying, I guess with the over under, you probably take some of the rotation out because they're opposing one another, right? And then you've got that pull, that straight lift.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I'd agree, 100%. Yeah, but and it's not to say that you can't engage lats on over under. You just might have to just be a bit more mindful and concentrate onto over under. But it might be worth saying. I mean, you can see just on this, there's no wraps. I don't use wraps. Some of the videos I will. If I'm doing overload stuff, then I'm not. Like I say, I haven't got grip issues. My hands seem to be, firmly stuck to bar. So I will use wraps from time to time in my training, but I always remain over under.
Right.
I tend to see people that they train without the wraps and they go over under, and as soon as they put the wraps on, they go double overhand. Yeah. You need to try and keep the mechanics of the pull as close to competition as you can, in my opinion.
Solid advice. Yeah, that makes sense. So basically, you're just basically doing over and over and over again the same mechanics.
And that's not from warm up to max, everything the same. It's blueprinted on. I want my form to be. The only thing I need to think about when it comes to competition day is pulling the weight. Because the form should be that ingrained on that I shouldn't have to really concentrate on how to lift.
Yeah, it's going to sound daft, but when I first watched these videos, when you sent them to me, I was like, damn, man, he's lifting, 1,000 pounds every single rep, and I'm sometimes guilty of, the 220, 40-pound plates on each side, lifting, and maybe I'm guilty of not thinking, this has got to be the same pull every time. There's no point in, warm-ups, just, And
not just, we're talking gym, particularly coming up to a comp when the only thing you're thinking about is a particular lift or that. I could go to a supermarket and pull a bag of rice off the bottom shelf and I'm doing it in perfect deadlift form.
Right. No, I get it. It makes sense. All right, so let's play on. So we've got our grip now, and then look. And the one thing I'm going to notice is that you're so tight in this position that even before you lift, it's coming off the ground. And I'm guessing as the weight goes up, it probably stays on the ground. But you can see how tight your position is. That even before the lift has occurred, you're coming off. So what's happening there?
And this is what I call one of my mini pulls, little setup. When I initiate the big pull, my hips will be slightly higher than that. But absolutely, and I'll be pulling that tension and getting my body acclimatized to it. And generally speaking, I would suggest that it gets to about 300 kilos for the bar to stay on floor on the mini pulls.
Right.
I will generally put around, just to that point, roughly around 300 kilos, and then it can be the big pull. Now, obviously, you can see there's all 100 kilos in here, it's coming off the floor, but that's the sort of tension that I try and get. So it's not just a case of yanking onto the bar on the initiation of the lift. Everything's tension, taut, pulled in, so we can concentrate on just straight up.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. So let's have a look at the pull itself then. So, like you say, you're talking, and then you're up. So, I mean, one thing we haven't talked about, and that I hear a lot talk about, is the brace. And obviously, I've got a good understanding of the brace, but maybe for some of those guys that are watching, like, how important is the brace in the setup, and when do you start your brace in terms of that intra-abdominal pressure?
On the setup, yeah. So just on the point that you just previously shown, when I'm going to like one leg grabbing the bar, moving to the other leg grabbing the bar.
Right.
That's it, my big breath. I'm taking at that point, I'm taking that the breath's going in, if not just prior to that.
As the left hand, as your left hand starting to grab the bar.
Take a breath. At this point, I'll be holding my breath pretty much down to the bar, and that's it. So I'm concentrating, and on the minute pulls is when I'm thinking about engaging that brace as much as I can.
Okay. And then talk us through when you're on those minute pulls. Are you thinking breathing into your lats? Are you thinking firing glutes? I mean, try and talk us through mentally how you prepare the system for that big pull. I mean, it probably sounds like a weird thing to ask, but I think
no, the little mini ones, they're not essentials. It's just something I've got into doing, and I think it might be more psychological than anything else. But I'm thinking about trying to sit back, so I'm not pushing through my toes. I'm spreading it. I'm trying to push outwards through the whole part of the foot. Mm-hmm. Thinking about keeping them knees out, and absolutely importantly, engaging them lats, as in really trying to tuck my shoulders down. And you might even see me do like a little wiggle initially with the shoulders, just trying to, I'm not sure if it's on here, but often I'll do like a little wiggle of the shoulders just to try and really engage and tuck them lats in tight before I go straight up then. So yeah, it's the bracing and the core engagement is prior to even grabbing the bar.
Okay.
You'll be hard pulled to try and get a really big breath, strong core, particularly in conventional pulling. If you're trying to do it whilst your hands on bar, you can't take the breath when you're crouched over. You need to try and, for me, you need to try and engage it, get that breath, engage it, then get onto the bar, and up we go. Very often, not in warm-ups, because I'll do these type of things, these fluent reps in warm-ups, but for work sets, I do what I like to call reset reps or cluster reps. So I will do a single, pretty much drop it, take a step back in, set up, pull it, drop it, and do that. So it's like probably 5 seconds between each reps, but what I'm learning is the setup each time.
Right.
Because what you'll tend to find is that you might get stretch reflex. So many people might find the initial pull, the initial first rep and getting the bar moving, the hardest one. And once they've got that first one, they might be able to get another 2 or 3 in some occasions. Mm-hmm. Whereas obviously in powerlifting, I'm just on 1 rep. So when I get to the work weights, I do 1 rep multiple times in clusters. So I have to learn that. So my concentration is really not on the eccentric part of the rep. I need to get the rep up. And obviously for the powerlifting rules, on the downward phase, as long as I've got control of the bar and I'm not letting the bar roll away and I've got hands on as the bar hits contact at the floor, then that's it. I'm golden. That's all I need to do.
Right, perfect. So I've heard people talk about those touch and go.
The touch and go is where you keep holding and you often you can almost hit the floor and straight off, hit the floor and straight off. And that's not to say that doesn't work. It clearly does. People like Benedict Magnusson, he does some really fast, explosive touch and go style reps. It's just that for me, I personally find that the reset reps, I just find that it's much more beneficial because I'm having to learn the setup and take away the stretch reflex.
Right. And that goes back to what you said earlier on, like every lift is like the lift, right? So when you're resetting, you're just basically over and over and over and over and over and over again, perfecting your art, right?
It's also, aside from that, it's also looking for the hard way. If I do a touch and go, I'd find that easier. I don't want to look for the easy path. I'm trying to find the harder way to go about the exercise to reap more benefits from it.
Yep, I think that's going to be a recurring theme during this discussion. But yeah, no, absolutely. Not finding the easy way out. Okay, so then how you typically approach programming, or how you approach a show or a training phase. Give people an understanding of how you go at that.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of training phases work off of a linear programming where they'll start off quite light and they'll do quite a lot of volume, and then slowly as the weeks go on, they'll be increasing weight and dropping off the volume, the intensity will go up. And that's a tried and tested method. I'll do a similar sort of thing to that, certainly I'm programming up to a comp, but I'll generally structure in the really heavy overload days, where I'll use a belt, I might pull off of blocks, small blocks, just try and get used to the weight and get my body used to handling more weight than it can, really. In addition to that, I'll put in explosive days, but that really is the lower priority depending on how I'm recovering, because for my sort of explosive theories, you'll see I'll warm up explosively. So that's hitting the sort of explosive or speed, as some people call it, methodology, and then applying repetition. Now, I'll generally hit quite a huge amount of volume. If I'm doing a program to a comp, literally sort of 8-10 weeks out, it's non-common to be doing 310 kilos of work weight for 10 sets of 5 reset reps, which is, you're talking 50 reps with 300 plus. It's quite a lot of volume, and that's first exercise. Following that, there might be block pulls or reverse band or some deficits. Stiff leggers will come later on, plus squats. There's a lot of volume in there. I'm a big believer in volume, but again, I think that's quite individual. If somebody gets fried out really quick, then the volume's not going to work. You've got to tailor that to each one's needs. But in terms of methodology as well, that's up to a comp. Now, off season, I'd probably work it slightly different, because off season, we want to get that base strength in, we want to keep it. It's time to trial stuff, try different methods, try different things. There's a lot more of a structure up to the comp.
Sure. So, I mean, how long's a session? I mean, you talk about 10 sets of 5 there. I mean, how long that, for me, that would take me all year. So how long are your sessions?
They could be long, I mean, but I'm a family man. So it much depends on what time constraints I've got, and that just increases the sort of tempo and the recovery, just try and get it through. But generally speaking, 2.5 hours for a session. It just means that we have to shut the door, put music on and shut the fuck up, get on with it.
Yeah, you do know after an hour though, your body just tends to destroy itself if we listen to some of the stuff, right? It's not optimal to train after an hour, and so I'll have to warn you.
Absolutely.
Okay, then so we're doing the sumo. So say the sumo is our priority, right? And what accessory lifts do you attribute to crossover into the sumo? Obviously, you're a big believer in execute, but obviously accessories have a role. What ones would you use to accessorize the sumo?
Yeah, I mean, I think like a wider stance box squat can be useful. And if I set up a box, it's generally just looking at a similar sort of angle of the box squat as to what my femur is on the initial setup, that sort of stuff. And front squats can be really good because obviously that can aid in the sort of middle back strength. Plenty of core, you need to engage that core. So just they're the main ones for me. I don't really do a huge amount of deficit sumo pulls.
Right.
That come within a lot of hamstring work, so I do quite a lot of hamstring work, stiff leggers, and I can do stiff leggers off of deficits, but that'll be from a conventional stance or a slightly wider conventional. But I'm not a huge fan of doing a deficit sumo stance deadlift. I just find that there's so much pressure around the hips. There's an injury risk to that.
Right. I guess that's a key thing, isn't it, for you? You need to get that volume in. So anytime you're injured, your volume is going to dramatically decrease.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I've seen you doing, what they call glute ham raises with on a bag on your videos. I mean, they're a solid exercise. And again, I think there is a fair amount of hamstring in deadlifts. So I've definitely seen you do those before. I mean, have you been doing those long? I mean, that's something I've been looking to incorporate, haven't done. I mean, is that something you've done for a while, or is it something you're trying to do?
Yeah, I do them quite a lot. I like them particularly if you go down to a fully stretched position, pause it, and then come up. But they tend to find more of I personally find them more of an explosive hamstring exercise, rather than just putting pure weight and trying to grind it out. You can obviously add additional weight, but I will sit them more into an explosive day as part of my hamstring work in that. And then in addition, so yeah, I've been doing them for some time, and I never go absolutely mental on adding weight on it. Like I say, it's more of an explosive exercise for hamstring. It's
difficult enough as it is, I think, for adding weights. I mean, I've had a few goes here. I just end up flapping around like a seal. So
the actual machine on a glute ham raise, I don't think it's too difficult. If you see people just trying to do it straight on the floor, then that becomes a lot more difficult. On the glute ham raise, and the glute ham raise I use is just a cheap one that just sits on the floor. It's not a freestanding glute ham raise. It's quite a small, compact thing that just lays on the floor. It's fairly straightforward.
We'll get some footage and we'll throw that in there so people can see your no-frills approach to the glute ham raise, right? Because that's one thing I always hear is people start bitching, I don't have this equipment, I don't have that equipment. I think it would be good for people to see what you have, what you use, and in your little environment. So
yeah, and the most important bit of kit is an Olympic bar. that Olympic bar and plenty of plates, and you're good to go. There's no excuses on that.
I think I agree with that wholeheartedly. Now, one thing I look at you when I look at your sumo, I think your mobility is awesome because you've got that nice wide stance. It's very en vogue at the moment. For this mobility stuff. Things like CrossFit and that have brought it into the sort of the YouTube genre. Everyone's a mobility expert, supple leopards and whatnot. Are you that flexible because you're doing so much sumo, in terms of your mobility? Is it because you're continually sumoing with weight, or do you actually do any mobility stroke stuff?
I don't. No, I don't do enough. I'm sure that it might be a benefit to do some extra mobility around the hips and stuff, but I generally train sumo twice a week, deadlift, plus squatting twice a week, and I don't squat wide as in what you tend to see in people in equipment, but it's a fairly wide raw stance, and I personally find that that's just stretching hips out enough. I don't do any specific additional mobility work. It's not something. Often I find that once I've had a hard, heavy deadlift session, that for a few days after, my hips are quite sore. The last thing I want to do is start bending them around all over the place. Just try and rest them.
So talk to me. You go in the gym, right? You're pretty cold. You walk in the gym. It's sumo day.
Yeah.
Talk me through that to actually starting your set.
Yeah. So same thing every time. Literally 2 quick supersets between leg extension and leg curl in 20 reps each. Just dead light, and that's just really trying to get some blood through the knee and just some blood into hamstring areas. Basic stretches, and I'll spend no longer than 4 or 5 minutes just on the hips and hamstrings, and then it's get up in bar and starting. And it's probably wrong. It's just that, like I've mentioned, I've got such time constraints. I ain't got time to be spending 30-40 minutes fucking about with a foam roller. What I want to do is grab a bar and start getting on with session. So
it always makes me laugh when you say it's probably wrong. I don't know. But I think if anyone's given an authority on some of these lifts, I think it might be yourself.
There's always room for learning, and there's people that are doing some really awesome mobility stuff, and it will probably benefit. I've no doubt it would. It's just that in the priority scheme of things, I need to get warm and I need to get the job done. And I haven't got the time to start doing all these additional things.
Right, you're picking your battles, right? You at the end of this, you've got to lift a big weight, and your battle is, I'm going to lift it in these weights in this way for this amount of time, so that I can absolutely nail that target at the end.
Yeah, I just need to be supple enough and warm enough to pick a weight up. I don't need to spend my time fucking about doing foam rollers and roly polies up and down gym in the tights. Like some Pilates yoga class to go on level.
I just can't see it, especially in your little environment you've got there at your gym. I just think there'll be jaws on the floor. Like, what else Jay doing? He's lost the plot.
Absolutely. And in winter, you'll be rolling through ice puddles. It's a good gym.
It is. All right, man. Well, I think that's you know, you've given people the recipe there to, you know, to go in, and I think the takeaway is like, do every rep, you know, as if you mean it. You know, I think it's do it a lot. Keep adding weight, keep programming. You know, do it, but just that sounds. I think the takeaway from it is just work fucking hard, consistently, right? do as much as you can. Okay.
Definitely.
Any final thoughts on the sumo deadlift? How are we going to start all working up so that we can get towards these 1,000-pound numbers that you're sort of?
It's putting the work in and putting the time in, you know, and trying to dedicate yourself to it a little bit. It is frowned upon. It's a lift that people see as a lesser lift to conventional. It wasn't my first choice. I was a conventional deadlifter. It was only down to small injuries, lat injuries, where I couldn't train it. I got to doing like a 340 kilo conventional deadlift and plateaued off just because I could only lift heavy maybe once every 6 weeks because I was micro tears in my lats. So it was almost forced. I wanted to improve. I was forced to go into sumo, and I started off dropping down to like 280 and building it back up. And I built it back up by repetition. Not only at gym, but if I get a spare minute, practice it, try and work hips, try and think about form, you know, analysing, getting people, pros, Dan Green, you know, a lot of Russians, an exceptional technique on it, and analyse it, micronise it, trying it, you know, all that sort of stuff. Try and dedicate some time to it, and you'll get there, put the work in, it'll happen, won't it? You know, and I'm still trying, I still watch hours of footage trying to improve, thinking of ways I could do better, could be better. And hopefully, then benefits is slow now, but it's hopefully they'll come. So yeah, I think it's just putting the time in, you know, putting the work in for sure.
That's solid advice. And let's sort of we'll just round this section off by saying, so what's your gym PB? What's your competition PB in the lift? And what is the big target in your mind? You know, what are you aiming for?
Yeah, so competition PB is 375. The gym PB that I did like 2 days ago is 410. Difference being that obviously in the gym I've got wraps on,
right,
and gym plates, which tend to find the gym weight plates. You know, you always end at bar really when you're getting 10 plates aside on. There's cap. And obviously the competition calibrated plate are a lot thinner. So yeah, 410 gym as an overload and 375 comp.
I think it's worth saying
375 is not. I'm not sure that's a true reflection on where I'm at. The last comp that I had a bit of a nightmare on, I went into that comp already with torn hands. I was really thinking 385 that day, somewhere around that number. I was surely capable. I opened 372, you know, and the hands opened up on that opener as they were already torn. So I don't know. So that's where we currently are. What I'd like 400 comp. I think that's where I need to be. Yeah, 400 comp. And if you get to 400, I'm sure that the 900 pound is the next stage along.
I was going to say, just for anyone who's sort of maybe like skipping or jumping all over the shop, you know, we're talking 900 pounds, people, you know, so 400 kilos is 900 pounds. These are not pounds that we was talking about earlier on, right? These are kilos. So yeah, I think 406,
I think. About 406, I think it's 900, so it's not far off.
No, not at all. And like I say, you just need to get into a comp and have full hands and heavy hands and just rip it off. And I think it's going.
Yeah, I'll be well.
All right, Jay. So I think I first was introduced to yourself in the bodybuilding thing. So I was doing all my bodybuilding stuff, moderating forums and whatnot. And I didn't see your bodybuilding competition live, but I remember someone sent me some photos and they said, you won't believe this junior that's just rocked up. And now I knew everyone, right? So I was like, we talk about juniors. They sent me through this photo and I emailed the guy back and said, yeah, but you told me about a junior. You, I was like, and I think I'm a year older than you. So I was like, this guy, someone just showed me this guy that looked like a grown-ass man who was a junior. And that was my first introduction. So, you know, how did you find yourself in a pair of Speedos in tan, you know, doing that stuff? When I talk to you now, it just, it doesn't fit. Right? So
No, it doesn't fit. That's life's tapestry. Yeah, so I started cycling. I grew up cycling, doing competitive cycling as a family unit. Both me and my brother used to compete quite heavily. I won the English schools British Championships on 2 occasions. We both ended up on the British team on track cycling.
Track cycling, right.
And then there was just some, not to go too deep into it, but some mixed thoughts around the direction in which it was going. You know, for me, it were much around the performance aspect and a family sort of thing that we did. And it became very obvious that in order to progress in that sport, that you had to become quite institutionalised, adopt to the sort of council of the team that is the institution of British cycling. I had loads of tests and stuff done, and it weren't really what I wanted to do. I wanted to remain the fastest rider on the day and trained by my dad, and that's how it worked, but that weren't an approach that we accepted. And at that time, late on cycling, as I was in sprint cycling, I had started to introduce a lot of weight training on my legs to aid the sprint cycling. So when the cycling stopped, I've been brought up really hard, heavy cycle training all my life, and I couldn't just stop. It was an aspect of my life I couldn't just stop. So with all that spare time, I started to introduce the weights onto my upper body as well as legs. And then it was the local gym owner, Damon Brown at Temple Gym, who would compete heavily with as it were AMB and MPA. He's put some good guys in. It was through his instruction and through his help that I did the first show, which was the Yorkshire MPA Yorkshire in 2015. That was the first one, and then we had a full year. You know, we did the Yorkshire, the Europeans, the UK, the British, and then the Worlds.
And how did you place in all those competitions? And it was the under-21s, juniors, right? That was your first.
Under-21s. I was 14 stone on the dot on stage.
So let me just explain this to people. Under 21s, 90 kilos ripped, and I'm sure I'm going to find a photo and we're going to put it up. So under 21, so pretty good start with with the lifting, right?
Yeah, and I was very fortunate. I managed to win every one of them comps.
Yeah.
A good start, yeah. And then that sort of progressed from there into I used to lift heavy. I used to enjoy lifting heavy weights. I used to challenge myself, challenge anybody. I weren't one for sort of doing loads and loads of lightweight rep stuff. I was always trying to push the boundaries of what my lifting is. I went through the local gyms just wondering how strong, because people said I was strong, but I didn't really realise that. I ordered my own dumbbells. I bought some dumbbells for the gym. They're still there, some 200-pound dumbbells just to press. I didn't really realise how strong I was. So that's where obviously the direction went into strength sports. Yeah.
Did the training change? Because obviously you were sort of, I guess at the time you were, just doing. What kind of training were you doing for when you were bodybuilding focused? Was it the same sort of stuff, or as it evolved?
Very, very different. Very different to now. I mean, back then I worked in a gym. I made sure that I got the job in a gym, so I could train twice a day. And I could eat when I wanted. I could live the life of a professional, so to speak. Although the duties around it, I'd work around my training. So I could train in the morning, I'd work through afternoon, get my meals in, train again in the evening, 7 days a week. And that's how it went. And at that point, I could recover from it. There were lots of volume in. I'd often eat the same body part twice in the same day just for a shock. I used to do some crazy, one of my favourites was a 1,000 rep leg workout. Then we did it with 5 sets of 20 squats with minimum 3 plates aside. And then you'd be supersetting leg press, leg extension for 50, 50, 40, 40, 30, 30, 20, 20, 10, 10, 20, 20, 30, 30, up and down. So just some stupid stuff, some really good fun, but very different to now. On occasion, I'll just for fun might drop some 20 rep sets in. On the main exercise, I'll do some reps on the assistance work to build up the assistance needed to pull big weights. But it's very different training.
So you spanked everyone at bodybuilding, you know, like you say, you did all of those shows, and then obviously, like you say, but what was the inflection point? Like, when did you decide, right, that's enough bodybuilding for me? You know, was it what put you off, and why stop when you were doing so well? I mean, what was that?
I mean, I did my first powerlifting comp, which I actually went to spectate. It's a drug-free organisation. I went to spectate. I was sat there in my boots and my jeans and thought, oh, well, I'm taking these guys on. So
that comes off, right, let's go.
Literally that, you know, I ended up getting warmed up in corner, paid a membership fee there, got on bench and wouldn't come. So I started with that. I did another. I did the MPA.
Did I hear that? Did I hear that right? What was the lift that you did? Bench.
Yeah, bench.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, bench on that one. That was a bench and deadlift meet. That one, push pull meet. I just thought, we'll throw us at it. Let's see what we've got, and ended up coming out on top of that one.
Fantastic.
But then I did compete in Pro Am 2009, and that was the show that really I enjoyed it. You know, it was really good.
That's the bodybuilding pro-am for the MPA.
That's right, yeah.
And just for the benefit of those that don't follow bodybuilding, they invite, you know, exceptional people from different weight classes. I think the criteria is you have to win your class of the Britain or something like along those lines, and you go up against, you know, heavyweight, middleweight. It could be just a collection of the best, and then there's a cash prize for the winner, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and. I was in fairly good shape. I was 15 stone on stage on that one, and I was in probably the best condition I've been in. And it was just, I got a second on that, which I accept completely. Bodybuilding is subjective, it's down to the judges' criteria and opinion. It was slightly controversial. When I asked for feedback on that particular, it were very obviously it weren't down to a physique problem. It were down to my inability of doing a posing routine very well. Just at that point.
Who did you? Who won that show? Just for reference.
Michael Hannon.
Okay. He's another strong lad.
yeah. I think it was Michael Hannon. And again, it ticked all the boxes. You know, his posing was supreme. He had an incredible physique. But it became apparent to me that it weren't around the best physique wins. It was about the whole package. And you know, standing on stage in time in a pair of pants, dancing. It's not really.
It goes back to what I was saying.
It was training and nutrition that was attractive to me, not so much the actual competition. Mm-hmm. That's what it really about. So it was something I really needed to do. You know, whereas challenging myself and picking bigger weights were. You know,
I think that makes a lot of sense in terms of the performance element of it, right? I mean, there's a certain performance element of bodybuilding. You have to lift pretty significant weights to build the musculature over time and do the volume. But when you're up on stage, like you say, it's not like you don't get that. It's very subjective instead of objective. And what you're
the issue. I come from a cycling background where the fastest guy, the first across the line, wins. That's my control. To then go into, and obviously powerlifting, if I pick the heaviest weight up, won. To then go into a competition, a physical competition where it's subjective, there's no clarity to it, it's down to opinion on criteria, judging criteria. It would just, it was out of my control, a challenge, you know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm with you. No, that makes sense. So then you went on and you put the pro-am behind you. You know, bodybuilding was cool. It was fun. I got some trophies. Got some photos for people to pretend to be me online. And anyway, less of that the better. And then you went on to the powerlifting stuff. So talk me through the evolution of you, the powerlifter. You know, from first few comps to where it is now.
So. Initially, just started off with regional comps, and really just did bench deadlift at that point. And just, I don't know why, I think the squat was just a case of, because the first comp I did was just a bench and deadlift, so then obviously I won that comp and it took me through to the British, so I did the British. So it was lower level stuff like that. I competed for years in the drug-free organisations, and organisations which are stringently, lifetime drug-free. And then it became apparent that actually I wanted to lift more often what the competitions were providing. But I also didn't want to challenge me against a limited pool of people that were drug tested. I wanted to compete against a wider, broad range of people. I wanted to compete against the best, you know, irrespective of whether they were taking anything or not. You know, it's my choice not to. That doesn't mean to say that I ain't got ambitions to kick everyone's ass. You know, I'm still wanting to be number one. So to progress me as a lifter, I decided to go into a non-tested federation initially and try and see where I come, you know, see how I do. And again, in the comps that I did there, were quite successful. I managed to win them. But then there's currently in BPU or ABPU, BPU is a non-tested federation with the side wing of it doing the ABPU, which is tested. Right. So that's currently where I'm at. Yeah, that's where I'm lifting 3 lifts. The last comp I did completely raw, so belt and knee sleeves. And I did an 860 total at that. So hopefully we can get that total to around 906, you know, something 906. I think whatever 2,000 is, which is 906, 908, something like that. But the £2,000 total, and probably with that organisation in belt only really is the plan long term.
So when are those? When's the season? When's the next competition? And where is it?
Yeah, so the next comp's a little bit unknown. My wife's expecting a second child in a matter of weeks. So how that's going to affect everything, we'll just have to see. You know, all being well, we should be good. There's a deadlift competition, the Andy Bolton Deadlift Challenge, in the middle of October for kidney research. Right. It's been kind enough to offer me an invitation to try and lift in that. So if I can, I will. I've not entered at this point just because I don't know how life is going to affect prep, and I'm certainly not one who's going to compete if I'm less than where I need to be. You know, so we'll just see how things go at a minute. But I ain't through with it yet. You know.
Sure. All right, okay, so we can see that obviously the powerlifting is going swimmingly. I think a lot of people on this channel that are into the weight training, you know, they're very interested also in, like, you know, I kind of feel like Jeremy Wade and River Monsters here. I'm wheeling in and flipping 7,000-pound catfish or whatever it is. But I mean, what do you eat? I mean, it's very fashionable right now. People are tracking macros and calories, and certainly I do work with people and do that. But I think some of the guys that are really big, it's a lot more intuitive. It's just like, how much can I eat? Especially if you don't have like physique competitions or something. It's more about performance. Yeah. Talk us through what a day of eating for yourself looks like.
All right. Well, for me, macros.
I knew it was coming.
What I'm doing is I'm eating clean, and I'm eating as much as I can due to my lifestyle of work. You know, it's I eat the same thing at the same times every day, and it is clean food. It's probably not as much as what I probably could or should eat, but it is clean. So a quick, very, very quick run through. To get up, I'll blend chicken breast with some whey, drink that down so I can go straight out the door. When I get to work, I'll generally get some steak down. Next up after that is 6 whole eggs, a bit more steak and some oats. Lunch, you're talking more steak, potato. Pre-workout is rice, fish, a bit more steak. Intra-workouts, usually a protein drink immediately after workout. Back at home, we're talking 6 full eggs again, bunch of rice cakes, and then before bed is generally again another blended chicken breast, and maybe some skyr, something like that. And then middle at night, protein drink.
So what? No Pop-Tarts, no Snickers bars, no, you know, crisps, none of that.
Nah, I can honestly say, hand on heart, I have never had fast food. I've never had KFCs, like McDonald's. I think I must have been about 10 last time I had a pizza. The thing is this, I train hard as I can. I'm sacrificing time away from family and important things in life to try and live that life. So if I'm wasting my time for the rest of that day eating shit like Pop-Tarts, it becomes pointless. Just if you're doing it, give it what you've got, or done. And that's my attitude. I'm not sacrificing time away from my son to then come and see it from fucking Pop-Tarts. It ain't gonna happen. I'm all for enjoying myself, and I'm sure people love eating fucking crap, but I love results.
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean, I think
putting the work in to get the results.
I think if anyone should take anything from this, it's like everything you do is geared towards performing, right? Yeah. And like, you know, fuel and what you put in your body is going to contribute to that, or it's not, you know. And then what? So, you know, closely related to that, what about drinking? I mean, do you engage in a bit of drinking here, there, and everywhere, or
never. I don't. It sounds like I'm really sad now, don't it? Fuck. No, I don't drink. I've drunk twice in my life. I've drunk on my stag do and indulged in a little bit of quality whiskey on my brother's stag do, and that's it. That's all I've ever had. You know,
if you're going to do it, I think those are the two times to do it, right?
Well,
and what was it? A beer each time?
Yeah, since I got married, I should have stuck up drinking as well. To do it.
Okay, man. And then what about? So one thing we had a bit about whey in your supplement cabinet. Are you into minerals, vitamins, creatine, pills and potions? What would you say?
I'd say it's quite simple. I will have creatine, but it's not something that I think is essential. You know, I'll have it in the pre-workout drink if I have a pre-workout. I will have whey, so I'll have whey, obviously, as I mentioned, just to supplement with food. So like rather than just having it when I'm blending a chicken breast, if you've ever tried it, it ain't that pleasant. And just to add that bit of flavour and just to top up that protein, I'll just stick some whey in. Mm-hmm. And that's about it. I mean, vitamin D3 and curcumin, I've just got onto that. As it's a good natural anti-inflammatory. There you go. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Just because obviously when you're getting a little beat up, there's a temptation to try and take like ibuprofen or anti-inflammatories, which are really not conducive to a good stomach lining. Whereas the curcumin tends to offer some really good anti-inflammatory benefits. So that's it. So whey, curcumin, D3, and often, you know, just putting some creatine into a pre-workout drink, and that's it.
So yeah, I mean, I think that covers the main things. I mean, one thing we didn't cover, and we've talked about this off the calls, is your gym setup, because I think you've got a pretty unique scenario in your gym, and I think definitely worth a quick mention about it. And it plays into some of your focus and an environment that you train in. So do you want to give us an overview of your setup?
Yeah, very much, yeah. I mean, I'm extremely lucky that I'm not sponsored, but my sponsorship is the gym. You know, I'm very fortunate in the Muscle Factory at Swinton. Offers me a free membership in there, and the proviso, I've got a room under lock and key with 99% of my own equipment in. It's an awesome gym. Really, really good. It's a good atmosphere there. Some good guys going there. Plenty of equipment. It's more weight-based equipment. It's not like exercise for less or anything like that. You know,
Is it fair to say it's old school? In the good possible way, the best possible way, right?
It's old school. It caters for everything, but it is old school. Obviously, in the room that I've got, it offers. It's perfect. I can go in. Big speaker, put it on, shut door, and get my stuff done. You know, uninterrupted. It's perfect, and I won't recommend it enough. They've offered me so much help and assistance in being able to provide that facility. I am in huge debt to Chris Wormley, who owns that gym.
That's absolutely fantastic. And I've seen the videos. It looks like the place where you put the dangerous animal, you lock the door, make sure he doesn't come out and disturb everyone else. But yeah, it's definitely the right environment. And I see those videos come up on your Facebook. I go to the gym, I do a big lift, and then I come on Facebook, and you absolutely ruin my month. but it does push me, because that's that point of reference, you know, like you were saying, like you didn't know how strong you were back in the day, because you know, you kind of just felt like you're hitting some big weights. But I think with the social media and stuff now, it's really interesting to look at guys like yourself and be like, you know what, man, that, you know, it makes me want to try harder, because I'm like, fuck, dude, this isn't heavy.
Yeah, also weight's relative, and weight is weight. People are stronger than others, and genetics and a whole host of other things are going to play a part in that. More important than weight is effort. You know, is apply effort, go in and tear it up. And what is a big weight for you? The number only matters to what you make it matter. But the most important thing is applying effort, and that's what I see lacking in what has become, not only through bodybuilding and strength sports, but just in this industry, is the easy way out, the easy path. The lack of effort is numbing, and it pisses me off. You know, they're taking the sport that I love, that I'm passionate about, and watering it down to a bag of shit. You know, it shouldn't happen. You know, if you go back 20 years, and it were a better place. It were hardcore, man. It were people are trained. They're not flounced about a pair of fucking tires. It just, do you know what I mean? It's just like, let's. I think it'd be worth taking a step back to apply some more effort rather than looking for an easy path. Drug free. I mean, always lifetime drug free. I always will be. The taking anything additional don't interest me one bit. I want to try and reach my potential, not what, you know, something else can provide. But I will always offer myself to be drug tested at any time. But it's an individual thing. I'm not going to knock anyone that takes the stuff. That's their choice. But I'm on my own path, you know. And if that means I'm not going to be as strong or as cut or as big or as pretty, you know, then that's their doing. But no one cares. It's an amateur sport. You got to do it for what you want to get out of it, and that's what it's all about. Because there's too many like Instagram warriors that are looking out there to what somebody else thinks, and honestly, nobody gives a toss. What you're going to do is do what makes you happy, and for me, that's a case of knowing that I've come out of the gym, that I've given everything I've got. You know, that I couldn't have done anything more. Stepping on a platform, and at the point of stepping on a platform, thinking, whatever this result, I've done everything that I can physically do to whatever weight goes up. And if you can stand on that saying, well, actually, if I didn't do as much foam rolling, stringing around in my pair of tights, you know, with a bandana on, listening to fucking Kanye West, I don't know, there's you ain't putting it in. You know, that's a personal choice.
I think that's probably how we end this, Jay, because I think that's what people need to sit back and take stock of, right? You know, it's about gritting your teeth, and it's not about prancing around.
Probably upset a lot of people, right?
No, I think it's fine.